Hey guys, so I'm just making this really short video here to comment on something that I've noticed in the news coverage of the events in Charlottesville about especially the death of Heather Hay, and just it's something that really sickens me because if you look through the mainstream news coverage of this whole event and even of who Heather Hay was, there's always one thing, well, I guess two things left out. And that is that she was a member of the industrial workers of the world, that she was supposedly a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, and that this whole aspect of her life is you won't find it mentioned in nearly any account, any biopic thing of her anywhere ever. You'll find it in you'll find it in some left progressive, some smaller magazines and stuff. You won't see it in CNN. You won't see it in Washington Post. You won't see it in Politico. Talking about Politico, there's one freaking article. They're talking about the whole account of the thing. They cite some revolutionary communist party organizers. I'm assuming some irrelevant org from nowhere. They didn't mention anything about the IWW. They didn't mention anything about the DSA. They didn't. Oh my God! It was just ridiculous. They paint this picture of her that is very specific to the liberal ideology. They paint her as, oh, she's this great warrior against intolerance, against racism. They won't mention any anti-capitalist part of her ideology, of her values, of her principles. That's too much for them, right? They can't handle it. It's just, how can you be this dishonest? How can you be this misleading? I had made a tweet. The reason I'm making this video is because I made this tweet. Right after it happened. They're like, well, nobody seems to be mentioning this little fact. The only people I'm hearing this from are from the people who were in the orgs with her, and then I thought, well, we just have to give it a couple of days. I thought, we have to give it a couple of days for them to write the biopics and stuff, and then it's a couple of days later, the biopics come out. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody even mentions it. Oh my God. Liberal propaganda is what these rags are. Liberal capitalist propaganda. I'm sure most of the people listening to this right now already know that. I would hope you already know that. Like Zizek says, you can even report the truth, and sometimes they won't. But you can also say sometimes they do report the truth. But the truth is not just facts and stuff. There's a whole relation to contextualization and also editorialization that goes on in all of this, that they get left out. Little things get left out. It's very interesting if you actually go and read every single news article on a given topic, and you begin to notice, the slight little biases in this paper and this paper, and then you go even farther, you even look at the direct primary sources, and you realize, oh wow, these, especially, there's a very pro-capitalist bias in nearly every single piece. There's no questioning of the larger framework, of the larger dominant ideology. Now, you can't really expect that from them. They're built off of this. They feed off of this. You can't really expect any more of it from them. But at the same time, especially when you get to things like this, when it's so outrageous, so blatant. It's frustrating, is what it is. But talking about Heather Hay, she was a lawyer. Apparently, who help people in bankruptcy. That's a pretty noble pursuit, I think. My heart goes out for her. The Catholic part of me, what's in there, wants to pray for her. Maybe I will. I'm sure she's made it to heaven anyway. Or if there's any poetic justice left in this world. But Anyway, I want you to go out there. I want you to tell people about this. I want you to tell your family, your coworkers, your peers. Make sure they know this about her. Make sure they know this element of the story that's just not getting out. Tell them she was a member of the Industrial Workers of the World, the big union. She was a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. She fought against capitalism. Or if the people you're talking to, they can't quite reach that level of discourse of talking about capitalism as a distinct thing. She fought against the present state of the economic order. She fought against this injustice at the heart of our society. Someone's got to get that word out there, because the media sure as hell ain't. I think I saw one article by Indies Times talks about there was a couple local stations that covered it because local chapters of the IWW were holding vigils. Oh man, it's just the way that this tragedy is going to be utilized. I'm seeing it. I've been reading the Washington Post a lot lately. The way that they're handling it, especially, you look at the way that they're handling Antifa, that they're trying to, and I knew this was going to be a problem with Antifa, I knew it was going to be a problem with them from the beginning, is that they're trying to liberalize the idea of anti-fascist resistance. This was something that happened the first time around, to a certain extent. They're gonna try to, I know there's probably some radical people in Antifa, I'm sure there's plenty, but the lack of discipline, the lack of organization in the movement as a whole has probably brought us to this point where rags like the Washington Post can take this information, take this idea of, this anti-fascist movement, and co-opt it. And it's not actually going to help the movement. It's not going to help. You're going to get more wishy-washy liberals involved, sure. You need to get people organized in orgs, in organizations, and you need to get people armed. You need to look at what Redneck Revolt is doing. They're doing great work. I'm probably going to buy a gun pretty soon. I've been thinking about it for a long time now. And fortunately, I live in Virginia. I wasn't able to attend the thing. I was in D.C. at the time. But I had some friends who went down there, and thankfully they were okay. But damn. We gotta get this shit under control. I do think that Antifa and Black Bloc and that kind of folk, they really have a problem with, the whole aspect of property damage and rioting and all that kind of stuff. It did kind of make people take the movement less seriously and kind of infantilize this idea of resistance. So I just want to make a note that I don't think those were very efficient, good tactics or helpful in any real way. They make it harder to defend anti-fascist resistance, in my opinion. That said, there is not, people who morally equivalate about this kind of thing are idiots. What even at the worst, even if you say, these people are rioting thugs, compare that to what Nazis will do once in power, if it ever comes up in conversation. See, these people will genocide millions of blacks and Jews and maybe Latinos, I don't know. And you're going to compare that to breaking a couple windows? I don't think so. I just realized that I was saying Heather's name wrong. I think it's Hayer, not Hay. My bad. I'm very bad with names, I'm sorry. You may have gathered that by now. But anyway, thank you for listening. I want to keep this video short. But get the word out. Make sure everyone knows about this. The media, they don't want you to know.